I can't believe it. He's really gone. My Lord is dead. I mean, he told us before. He told us he was going to die, but we weren't sure if it was true. How could it be true? We witnessed so much from our Lord. He healed people. The blind were able to see because of him. He raised people from the dead. So how could we believe that he had to die? It just doesn't seem possible. It all happened so suddenly. We just had a nice meal. He said he was the bread of the life. He had us drink wine, said it was his blood. That they were gifts from him to us. And again, he warned us that it was time for him to go, but we really didn't think, we didn't believe he was going to endure all of that. It happened so suddenly. After dinner, we went out to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was so scared. Our mighty Lord, who brought people back to life, who cured the blind, who commanded demons to leave people, was afraid. He went to pray. And he asked us to stay awake and watch. And he went off to pray. All he wanted was our time. All he wanted was us to stay awake and watch. We fell asleep. Why did we fall asleep? I mean, if only I'd have known what he was going to go through, I certainly would have stayed awake. They came in the night. He came and woke us up. That's when I saw them. There were guards from the temple with chains. And right in front was Judas. Damn it, Judas, why? Why? Judas came and kissed him. And then that's when they arrested him. They chained him up like some kind of animal. Some of us ran. I ran. What could I do? I was so scared. I didn't want him to take me either. And from a distance, I could see they were spitting on him and beating him. As they led him away, they were mocking him, spitting on him. They took him into town. They took him to a court, a mock court, an illegal court. And they brought him before the holy priests. This crowd of people that welcomed him on Sunday with palm branches. They were laughing at him, spitting on him, mocking him. A bunch of witnesses came forward and said that he used devils to cast out demons. Can you believe that? Devils? Our Lord? Finally, the high priest asked him if he was the Son of God. And Jesus said, I am. He could have said no. He could have escaped this whole thing. Later they took him before Pontius Pilate. They wanted Jesus crucified. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that entails? But Pilate didn't want to do it. We thought, Pilate's going to say no. Our Lord will be saved. But they insisted. We saw a riot happening. So Pilate said, no, I won't kill him. I'll chastise him. They took him to this lot with a stone, and they chained him up. They started beating him with reeds. They were beating my Lord. And then, that wasn't enough. They brought out the whips. The whips with metal spikes and animal teeth. And they started whipping him. It tore into his flesh. They beat him so bad. His flesh was so exposed. We could see it. There was blood everywhere. And then they let him off. Took him to a dungeon or something, I don't know. Later they brought him before Pilate again. And the crowd, seeing my Lord bloodied to death, it was a wonder he was alive. It was absolutely horrible. He had a crown of thorns on his head, and they put him in some robe. They put a crown of thorns on his head. They tortured him some more. And the people still insisted, crucify him. And still Pilate said no. He brought out Barabbas, and he reminded us that once a year he releases a prisoner. I thought, yes, my Lord could be set free. They chose Barabbas. They chose to free a murderer over my Lord who had never, ever sinned. Finally, Pilate washed his hands. And they let him off to be crucified. Then the worst happened. They took my Lord and they made him carry his cross all the way up to the mountain. And they were whipping him and spitting on him the entire time. He fell so many times. He got so weak that he had to be helped. And when he finally reached the top, when they finally reached the top, they put him on the cross and they nailed his hands and feet, and then raised the cross up. He was naked. He was exposed. A sign above his head said, "King of the Jews." He hung there for hours. For hours. Finally. And you know the funny part is? While they were nailing to the cross, he said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." Finally, he died. He said he had to die. But I didn't believe it. And even if I did believe it, how was I supposed to know that he was going to go through such hell? That he was going to be tortured the way he was? And all he asked me to do was stay awake. All he wanted was my time. I couldn't even give him that. And now it's too late. My Lord is dead.